Roadhouse press conference. We've got a lot going on this week. Men's golf is playing today in the Mustang Intercollegiate in Goodyear, Arizona. That will be today and tomorrow. And baseball is on the road this afternoon at University of the Southwest in Hobbs, New Mexico at 3 o'clock. Tomorrow we've got a home softball series against University of the Southwest with a doubleheader at 2 and 4. And baseball is back on the road at Abilene Christian for the second game in their two-game series on Tuesday nights at 6:30. This weekend, baseball is home for a four-game Lone Star Conference set against Texas A&M Kingsville. They've got a single game Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock out at Roden Field. And softball kicks off their weekend series at MSU Texas in Wichita Falls at 6 o'clock. Saturday, we've got our second of two spring football games. The black and orange game will kick off at 11 o'clock at the UTPB turf field. And we'll have a special guest to talk about that in just a second. That'll be at 11 o'clock Saturday. Baseball has a home doubleheader at 1 and 3 against Texas A&M Kingsville, and softball closes out their three-game series at MSU Texas at 1 and 3 o'clock. And then Sunday, baseball closes out their four-game set against the Javelinas at 1 p.m. Okay, today we'll get started with UTPB Director of Athletics, Scott Farmer, who's going to talk about this upcoming weekend and some of the construction that's been going on campus.
Thank you, Ryan. But before I do, I just want a couple things. First, I want to say thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming to these every Monday. I hope they're beneficial to you. Okay, we do these to give you some, insight on what's coming up. We do these to give you some information that maybe you can report on throughout the week. So I hope they're beneficial. And if they're not, let us know. We can change anything. If there's something that you need, obviously Ryan's your first person you go to, or Richard, or you come to me. Okay? Because we want to do this. We want to give you what y'all need. Okay? Also, thank you for those of you who came this past Saturday. We did something new. We did a first. We took a spring game on the road. And we ordered perfect weather. So it was a good time. We're UT Permian Basin. We are the UT system school of the Permian Basin, but we're also the four-year school of the Permian Basin. And we just felt it was really important for us to get out and for us to take what we know and what we love, and it's athletics for us and football for us here, but also to take our university and go out to other communities. So what you saw Saturday was a great scrimmage. We had some people there. It was a good atmosphere. Everything was great. But what you might not have saw was on Thursday, back up on Wednesday before, we took two athletes and we did a radio show to kind of introduce them the whole week. On Thursday, Dr. Woodley, myself, Tatum Hubbard, Tatum Gwynn, Richard, Susie Thiessen from admissions went and we met with every single one of their high school students. We met with the juniors and the seniors at 2 o'clock and our freshmen and sophomores at 3 o'clock. And we did like a little traveling visitation day. We did a welcome UTPB, but we went to them. And that was the first exposure some of those young men and young women have ever had about UTPB. And the response we got was absolutely phenomenal. And those are things we want to continue to do. I went back on Friday, the next day, and did a radio show again, and leading up to Saturday's game. So the game was just a culmination of 4 days of being in Andrews and really just introducing Andrews to UT Permian Basin. And we want to do the same thing next year in some other cities. We will go back to Andrews, but we want to do the same thing in some other cities. So we will also invite Andrews to one of our games next year. We will invite their band to perform at halftime with our band. And we will invite their cheerleaders to perform with our cheerleaders and kind of have an Andrews night out at Roadhouse. So I look forward to that also. So the relationship's not over.
That's this upcoming season?
Yeah, we will do that this coming season.
Cool.
Haven't quite announced the game yet, but I think we know which one it's going to be.
Okay.
Do you plan on going to bring any other teams on the road? Not just football, maybe basketball?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out a format. Absolutely, because we don't have enough weekends to actually take football every place we'd like to go. And so, Coach Newman, he volunteered and Coach Booth volunteered. We just got to figure out a format, figure out how to do it. Because that would allow us to do something in the fall also, maybe right before their season starts. So working on that. Haven't figured it out yet, but we are working on that. And again, just something new, never been done. So this weekend, we got a little football game, a little spring game this weekend, and we decided to bring it on campus. And there's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, college football is meant to be played on campus, right? So let's play it on campus. And we're excited to do that. We're excited to bring people onto campus. We have found there's just so many people, Odessians, that have never been on campus. Well, let's bring them on campus and introduce them to it. But perhaps even more so, we really wanted to show the progress of the D. Kirk Edwards Family Human Performance Center. It's exciting. And as y'all talk to the recruits that we signed this year, maybe even go back to last year when we first started showing them pictures of the building, talk to them about how important that building is in their decision to come to UT Permian Basin and be a Falcon and be on our football team. Well, now they can see it going up. About a third of the steel will be up before Saturday, which is pretty exciting. And I'll be honest with you, the hydrotherapy pools are going to be set in place too. So if it rains really hard, we'll have full pools on Saturday. So anyway, we want people to come. We want them to enjoy the day. We've invited all our tailgaters out. They can get down and really just kind of circle the field and tailgate around the field. And then in between plays, take a look and let's see how far along that building's coming. Because it's moving pretty quick, to be perfectly honest with you. In fact, that's probably something we should do, is maybe set a time where we can get the media to walk through with us. Okay? Let's try to do that. You cannot wear those heels like you just can't do that. Put on boots when we're going to walk out to construction.
Okay.
So, anyway, that's really kind of why we wanted to come to campus, why we wanted to bring the spring game on campus, is just to get people here, show them the building, and everybody get excited for what's happening at UT Permian Basin. Any questions for me? You are the easiest people. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue today with head football coach Justin Carey.
Get up.
Whole thing?
Whole thing. On the injury scrimmage. Good stuff.
Do you mind if we start with that in terms of, I know you said in the past you'd like to go like Fort Stockton, possibly Crane, other big areas, Big Spring. Is that a possibility for next year at all, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. That was kind of the intent this year. And Big Spring would have been a good one if they were under some construction, I think, facility stuff. But moving forward, it's kind of figuring out where's the next spot to go to or how many we can add. We only get a certain amount of weeks we can do spring football, so we're limited in that regard. But yeah, I think it was great getting our kids off campus and a different scene. They treated it a little bit like a game. Just looking at them emotionally, their energy levels felt different than just a regular practice, and it was good getting out, and they enjoyed it, and looking forward to doing something like that and even more next year.
Scott talked about the importance of bringing people onto campus instead of, doing the scrimmage out of Ratliff this weekend. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I kind of go back to 4 years ago when we first got here. Most of the community had no idea who the Falcons were other than a football team in Atlanta. And there just wasn't any direct association with a mascot in this university. And I think that has changed a millionfold in the last 4 years, and I think the rebranding of the logo a few years back helped that a bunch. Obviously, some of the success that basketball had over the past few years, all that kind of notoriety helps with just the local people understanding that there is at least a mascot to the athletics here. And things are changing, and it's good to get people on campus and get the community more involved here. Being on campus and seeing some of the changes and things that are taking place with Dr. Woodley and Scott Farmer leading the way.
Actually on the field, last week at practice, what are you looking for from your guys until the spring game actually kicks off on Saturday?
Just continued improvement and execution of assignment and detail. Ideally we stay healthy, but at the end of the day it's going back and grading each player and how they performed in Saturday's scrimmage, that in the next scrimmage they perform better. And again, it's just assignment, execution, details, fundamentals, things of that nature.
Are you happy where the progress is right now?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a lot to be excited about. There were some guys that made a lot of great plays. There's some young guys that did some good stuff. A couple young running backs look good at times. Wideouts had some big explosive plays. In the secondary, we had, that I can think of, 5 opportunities to intercept some passes. Those are some things that we got to get cleaned up. Obviously, we like to finish those plays on the defensive side of the ball, but those plays were there. We had a couple sacks, forced fumble. John O'Kelly had a sack force fumble in there, and some good stuff, things to be excited about.
Are there any players that surprised you on Saturday that maybe came up with a big play or big tackle or something?
I don't recall any great surprise. I think there were some guys that stood out. Cameron Mathis, I think, was 76% completion on the day, 16 to 21, 135 yards, touchdown. Had 5 carries, averaged over 12 yards a carry, and that was one thing. Just going back and watching film, seeing him pull the ball and run. We used him a little bit last year just as far as short yardage package, red zone, but if he'll continue to run like that and be a little bit more of a dual threat guy, I think he can be a tremendous asset and weapon in our offense. Balin Ware was a freshman that started to emerge last year, and he's continuing in that progress offensively. And then defensively, some of the same names will continue to come up. Chris Hoden, Keaton Gray, John O'Kelly, all looked exceptional. And Damian Brewer back there as a safety had a chance at some big plays, but looked well and played well, looked good. It was a good day.
Taylor Knowles, is he going to be back for the fall, do you think, healthy-wise?
Yeah, he's going now. We're keeping him out of the more competitive stuff so that he doesn't try to do too much. Being a competitive guy, if we were in a game week right now, he'd be going and getting ready for a Saturday game. He's pretty close.
Is he still number 1 QB on the depth chart, or is it just completely open again?
And you know this answer.
Okay,
That's all I got.
cool, good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, we'll continue with football with linebackers coach and assistant defensive coordinator Jacob Larkin.
You look good, don't worry.
All right. Don't want to break the cameras.
I'm good, guys.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Coach saw a lot of good things out of defense on Saturday. What'd you think overall about Saturday's scrimmage?
I thought we played well. Defensively, we'd like to come up with turnovers that we got our hands on. I think we had a sack strip and a couple of opportunities to get interceptions that we didn't come up with. You'd like to come up with those. You feel a lot better about the scrimmage than we did. But I thought we played well. We played hard and got lined up and were able to fit what we were supposed to.
How deep are you guys? I know we keep on saying the same names every single week of John O'Kelly, Damian Brewer, but guys behind them. Do you feel like you have a deep roster now since so many guys are continuing to step up?
I think so. There's guys in there that they don't flash as much as those guys. That they don't have the name like John, who came out big his freshman year. But I think we've got some depth that those guys will start to come on this year, and then everybody will know their name, and it'll be kind of like when we plug that guy in now. There's no wondering who's out there.
How nice has it been to have John back this spring?
It's been great. It's been great. It makes things a lot easier to call plays, and it's good to see him coming off the edge and knowing that his effort and being able to dominate one side is there, and you can kind of go back to calling plays like when he was playing for us before. So.
What are your thoughts on having the spring game here on campus?
I think it's great. Like Coach said, not a lot of people, even now, have been on campus from around the area, and some people still don't know who the UTPB Falcons are. And so it's great to get people on campus and let them see the growth that's been happening over the past couple of years with the new administration. And the vision is kind of coming to fruition, and you're able to see everything right there beside the practice field. You can see it happening.
Is kid Coach Minio going to be ready for fall practice? I saw
I think so. I think he's got 6 months or so be out, and then he can take a few shots again. But no, he's doing good. He old injuries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, we'll close out today with head softball coach Tiala Taparella. Our Falcons are back at home tomorrow with a doubleheader against University of Southwest at 2 p.m.
Is that good?
Yeah, sorry.
Coach, thoughts on the weekend?
It was a tough one. I don't know that the last 2 weekends we've really played our best softball overall. I think we're kind of battle weary and it's kind of hard. I know I've talked about in the past with just injuries and trying to plug people in different positions and different things like that. And so it's just kind of coming to a head, I think. And it's not that we don't have the heart or the will or the want to win. It's just, we're just hitting some roadblocks.
Struggled a little bit offensively on Saturday. What do you think led to that?
You know, I think again, I'm going to go with being battle weary. I think that it's, you know, everyone knows the Lone Stars is a tough competition every weekend and there's literally no days off. So with that being said, it's hard weekend after weekend to just compete at a high level. And so I think that, you know, we were able to get West Texas, to be able to get Angelo, and when you have to put everything into those games and then you have a midweek, or, you know what I mean? So it's just a kind of hard to grind. And then now as the semester's ending, dealing with keeping up with schoolwork and test taking. So I think they're just kind of tired. And so we really, Sunday I was like, hey, let's get some sleep, let's get back after it, and let's get refocused for next week because it's a busy week having our game against University of Southwest tomorrow and then Midwestern this weekend.
Could that be a good jumpstart game tomorrow? In terms of just, you know, okay, put everything behind us and just go.
I think so. That's what I'm hoping will happen. I think that unfortunately, we had to reschedule a lot of midweeks earlier on in the season, and so I think that kind of led to being where we're at now and just having a little bit of confidence issues because, like you said, Saturday we struggled offensively, and I think if you're facing top pitchers in the conference, it's tough to kind of get your feet underneath you, and then you're facing another tough, like super tough opponent. So I think being able to have those midweek games are just able to kind of get a reset and just get relined, restarted, and kind of get the confidence going into the weekend.
How do you get them over this hump to get that confidence back going?
You know, I think we've been working tirelessly to work like mental toughness and things like that. And honestly, we have an idea we're gonna bring into practice today of just confidence building and just really. I think it's hard to have perspective when you in the softball and baseball it's a game of failure. So you know, if you hit 3 out of 10 times, that's 300 and you're awesome. But how do you deal with the other 7 times? And so that's the issue we're against right now is just kind of having faith that those 3 times are going to come, but if we still focus on the 7, then we're going to end up in a worse spot. So just kind of trying to redirect them with through just perspective through each other's eyes and having them tell each other what they respect and appreciate about their gameplay and everything else, because I think it's hard when you're feeling down and out to really see who you are. And in Saturday's game, one of them was struggling. I said, "Do you remember who you are? Do you remember that you're a 2-time state champion?" And she was like, "Oh, well, I don't." And I'm like, "Exactly. So let's have, just put it on a shelf and realize who you are, and just realize that, you're well equipped. We just gotta quit focusing on the bad or the shortcomings of the failures and focus on what could happen." So that's where we're directed to today, so that we get into it tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thanks,
Coach.
guys.
Good luck
Appreciate it.
tomorrow.